Dr. Galal.
Thank you very much. It's really difficult to stand here after Soraya and Samir, I come from a totally different background, simply an educator. How many of you here are educators in the sense of, teachers, headmistresses and stuff? Okay, quite a few, thank you. So we all know that during the past 2 years, or 3 years actually, we have been thrown into this pandemic crisis and we had to find solutions. And of course, I come from Egypt and the technology there is okay, but in the terms of like smart boards, flipped classrooms and all that. But there are other challenges that we have faced, especially with the younger students. If you're teachers, how many of you are KG teachers or early elementary teachers? None. Okay, so, you are early elementary? Okay, all right, that's wonderful. Okay, so let me walk you through here. First, we're going to define what alternative schooling is. When I was first sent the topics that I would be to choose from, I chose the most challenging one for me because I really needed solutions for my company. I have this consultancy group that I work with. I work with schools that are at risk or that want to introduce the international systems in their schools. And then I'm also head of an international school, which is Imperial College, Egypt. And we need to train these young teachers who are very passionate about education because, as Soraya was referring to, I think the AI or the artificial intelligence is going to take over almost all jobs in the future, but I hope not teaching jobs. So we're going to define alternative schooling as we had known it like 4 or 5 years ago, and then the different approaches, the pros and cons of these approaches, and then the results. And when I talk about results, I'm going to share with you the results we had as educators, from teachers, from parents, and from students as well. Okay, so Wikipedia says that alternative schooling is an educational establishment with a certain curriculum and methods that are non-traditional. That was years ago. Now, non-traditional meaning like we have for gifted students, students with special needs, different pedagogical approaches, strong political, religious, or scholarly approaches, and a less rigid system for those who are, have learning problems. But this is the new normal alternative schooling, and that's the digital schooling. What is the difference between schooling and education? Anyone here would like to share? All right. Yes, please. Perfect. Right. Okay. Can we apply this with a digital schooling? Let's see. Okay, these are the different approaches that we know of. The recorded videos, which is the flipped classroom, and we've been using that before even the pandemic. The edited videos, also another form of recorded videos, but you add on graphics and illustrations, so it makes it more a bit engaging. The Zoom sessions. How many go through Zoom sessions? Yes, especially with early childhood. I know. I've seen my grandchildren do it. I've seen our students do it, so it's not really the best choice, but it's there. Online discussion forums, a bit better, yeah, but some students might lose focus or interest. Then we have the ebooks. Again, ebooks were there even before the pandemic, but I, for example, am a very visual person, so I like to have the book in front of me and, have graphics around it and all that. We also have the live Q&A sessions and online testing and the multimedia. Let's go through each one of them and see the pros and cons of those. The recorded, they're very good in terms of they're self-paced and accessibility is flexible. You can go back, you can run it fast forward or whatever you'd like to do with them. But what is lacking here is the actual interaction with the students in class. Also, it is less engaging. It is very, very, you lose control, you lose interest. I think Jin Tan earlier before lunch was saying something about the span. It only takes like 3 seconds and then they lose it. Khalas, it's end of it. If we move on to the edited videos, okay, again, self-paced. There are graphics and illustration like the comic books Mr. Samir was talking about here. But in order to prepare these videos, it's very time-consuming for the teacher. And again, they're not interactive. Zoom classes, synchronous interaction among the students and teacher. True. You can you can have breakout rooms. That's another pro. But I've seen this myself. I mean, they lack casual social interaction and Zoom fatigue, not only for the kids, for the teacher as well. With the online discussions, the good things about them are that they provide for more student interaction, but they could end into a chaotic discussion eventually. They also give an opportunity for the shy and timid students to engage in the discussion. However, there could be side discussions which result in losing focus with the teacher and so on. Ebooks, accessible, but difficult for visual learners. As I explained, I myself am a very visual person, so I like to see the things myself. The live Q&A sessions, opportunity to acquire in-depth knowledge and understanding. That's a very good thing. But then again, you have the timid student might be shy to ask in case that he might be bullied, peer pressure. Also, the strong thing about it is that sharing ideas and responses, but again, limited interaction among students. And I believe the best way that students learn is peer learning, which by coincidence, I have a panel tomorrow talking about peer learning. If we go talk about the online testing, immediate feedback, and it is less stressful than sitting in a classroom with an invigilator going on around you, and so it is less stressful. But we have a problem. I don't know if it exists here, but we do have internet problems, connectivity, and lack of one-on-one feedback. Students like to be given the feedback from the teacher himself or herself. The multimedia, very engaging, and there are a lot of resources. But then we go back to being, there's no social interaction, and the student is a passive recipient. So all he's doing is watching. And I'll tell you the results a bit later after all this, because we have seen a lot of problems lately with the students themselves. Okay, so what we found out is that the 3 to 10-year-old students, over 90% have lost 2 academic years, and over 60% have acquired aggressive attitudes. And this is also, of course, compared with, we have a disciplinary record at schools, and so you could really measure how aggression has overwhelmed these students after coming back from the pandemic. With the older students, almost 80% have lost 1 year, and this is very evident in the entrance exams. If they are admitted to a new school, so it's very evident there. Also, over 65 have social and emotional issues. Long ago, we never had the need to have a psychologist at school. And, we do it as a principal, sit, chat one-to-one with the child, and things would get over. But now there are issues that we cannot handle as heads of school or as consultants. So we really need that psychologist at school, because things are getting really, really out of hand with the older students. All right, now this is the parents, how they see it. We've done surveys, and they don't like their kids to be on screen a lot. So that's one issue they complain from. Another major issue is that it's very difficult for working moms, especially if the classes are in the morning, and we send them a schedule, and the working moms, especially with the early childhood kids, it is very difficult. They need the money, they need the work, so they can't just sit with their kids for the Zoom time or the classes that we conduct. And then, again, the internet issues. Teachers. A lot of teachers say that the students lose focus. Also, they themselves need a lot of training. We try to push them into, we have various workshops and so on, but they still think they are not capable enough or don't have enough background and resources to cater for this group. And not much peer learning or teamwork. We always have the PLCs, the professional learning communities at school, but because teachers themselves are not very much learned in terms of the technologies, so they lack the professional learning community. They can't share something with each other. Okay, this is just a sample I wanted to share with you, a short video. Okay, they say they're not going to be able to play the video. Okay. All right, so coming back to your answer to the question of what is education, it's the creation of an environment which stimulates the student to the student's desire to dig for information and knowledge. And this cannot be actually done solely through digital learning. Again, education is pulling knowledge from formal and informal resources, so it's also experiential. So how can they be locked back home with the digital learning and at the same time experience the touch of a leaf, dissection of whatever, a frog. So it's very difficult for them. They need the experience itself. So that's why we have things like drama, folklore dancing, journalism, PE. These are all kids go through experience. I don't think this can be done only through digital learning. This is another video that we can't play. Okay, again, music, photography, and art, MUN. I would have loved you to see this video. It's about the music teacher who was trying to conduct his music class for a grade 2 class of like 15 kids, calling out their names for attendance, and then seeing them, one flipping out of the room and then jumping and playing their instruments at different times. So it's really very, I'm just trying to show you it's the difficulty or the practical side of actually conducting digital classes. No, there's one time, I'm sorry, I'm just going off. One of the parents has 2 kids, one in KG and the other a 4th grader. So she had the KG child in the dining room, table, and the other one is sitting in his room with his desk. So the KG2 child suddenly in the Arabic class jumped on the table. So the teacher started yelling. I don't know how many of you understand Arabic, but let me just say it. Inzil min al mindada ya Salim. So it's like, Salim, please get off the table. We reached the point where we had to call the mother on her mobile, so she rushed back to the dining table to get the child off the dining. So and that's a working mom. Okay, so in summary, let's go to the pros. It's accessible, it's convenient, and there are a variety of platforms. And from what I've heard and what I've attended, the workshops today, various platforms, and I took their info so we can contact them. But the cons, inefficient with young learners, like the early childhood and early elementary. Screen time is too much for their eyes and too much for the brain, and it affects the students' social and emotional skill, as well as it's still a financial burden. Earlier today, we heard Jintan saying you could do it if the quantity of students, it could only cost $1. It doesn't cost that. I know, but you need the quantity. Who's going to do that? It's very difficult. That's what we find out. This is not embedded as well, tech team? Not. This is a video by the UNESCO, and it's called, please look it up, On the Way to School. It simply provides us with children from various countries around the world, Kenya, Morocco, Egypt, and other parts of the world, developing or underdeveloped countries. And it shows us the way or the journey to school they have to do every morning. And through our that's why we think our kids are very pampered. They go by bus or drop off by their drivers. But these kids, how are we going to reach out for these kids in terms of digital learning? And this is something we need to think of. I'll leave you with the final thoughts. Will digital learning help developing and undeveloped countries? Will digital learning affect our children's social and emotional needs? Will digital learning affect teachers' performance and roles in educating future generations? So these are our final thoughts, and thank you. I don't know how long that took, but thank you. If you have any questions, please. I had these last 3 questions, so if you could help me answer those questions and go back with some answers for that. Sorry? Yeah, I will. Okay. Can we go back to that slide, please? All right. Will digital learning help developing and underdeveloped countries? Any answer for that? Can we brainstorm? Yes, please. Thank you.
It depends. Of course, it brings a lot of people on the platform as soon as they have infrastructure. So especially in special areas, they have no infrastructure and won't help. If we see it from the global aspect and we bring more young learners together on global platform, and they have the possibility to have infrastructure, I think it's definitely a possibility.
No, I think not just infrastructure. They need to actually train the teachers who are going to be using.
Yeah, that's one point. Yeah. But I'm coming now right from Ghana, and they had no technical infrastructure. So we worked with radio, and we worked in schools differently. So they cannot use it.
They
So,
can
no.
yeah.
So even if there's possibilities, but they cannot use any digital learnings
So
because
it's
they have
useless.
the internet is too slow.
Yeah.
So it's not working. So but I think it's not really a bad point because these kids are doing exactly what you said. They are dancing, they are learning differently, and we don't know now if they will be ahead in the future or not, or if we will be ahead with the kids who are digitally focused. So that is actually something future will answer.
But then these underprivileged kids they don't have access to that.
Yeah.
They're not like the others, so they will definitely not catch up in like 5 or 10 years time.
They catch up differently.
Yeah.
They catch up differently. They have different learnings, and it depends how they are supported in school, and especially of the abilities of the teachers. But they catch up differently, and I doubt that the skills are only based on digital learnings. So they will
That's what I
maybe
want to
have in
reach. It's not
future-
only
exactly.
dependent on digital
No.
learning.
No.
Thank you. And the next question is, will digital learning affect our children's social and emotional needs?
Hi, can I take a shot?
Please.
In my opinion, these questions sort of showcase that it's an either or. As I mentioned in my earlier conversation, I think it's important the role of teachers evolves, roles of us as educators involve, and we unlearn a lot of things that we've been doing. So there's a lot of rote learning. There's a lot of people, I mean, as teachers, we've stood in front of people and become almost the temples of knowledge or the mosques of knowledge, imparting knowledge to others, us being the sole repository of learning. That has to change. We have to become entities who will encourage people to learn offline, have the courage to direct people offline, get them back and ask questions. I think also, to a great extent, me included, educators have to also realize the importance of failure. I think our entire education system is geared towards wanting people to succeed, whether in exams. Exactly. Failure is the biggest, so I think the biggest learning out here is for educators. And I do not think you can unwind the clock. You cannot, what technology is doing cannot be taken away. So that question to
Definitely
great extent.
not. No, I don't want a yes and no
Yes,
answer. I
absolutely.
want the how.
Yes.
You know,
So it
because
means
actually what Anna just said is that these kids learn in a different way than the ones she's talking about in Ghana and underdeveloped, right? But the thing is, we need also to understand the emotional and social, how can we prevent that?
Yes.
If we need to go through the whole digital thing.
Absolutely.
Of course.
So this onus is on us to change.
Yes.
And kids will be who they are. It's a cruel way forward. Technology is changing them. Mm-hmm. It's us who has to change. So I think the entire thing is about us.
And in terms of technology, we have to make it accessible for everyone, so that it is easier for everyone to reach that point. Yes, please.
Yeah, about access to technology.
Yeah.
I run an online education platform, so I understand the day-to-day problems that can happen because of internet, lack of internet, and other issues. We must look for low bandwidth technologies and platforms, which is largely lacking in the edtech space. Only then these platforms can become accessible to people where the areas where data is not so strong, the bandwidth is not very large, So this is a problem in India as well.
Yeah, especially where places like Anya was saying, where the infrastructure is not helping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you look at the underprivileged, where do they have smartphones? And if you have one phone, that's not a smartphone. It's the old model with buttons.
Yeah, then Nokia
And
thing.
that's usually with the breadwinner of the family who is out. Yeah. So if you really want technology to reach far and wide, we have to be innovative in our technological solutions as well. And the way it works is, I mean, at least, this is my view. We have to change ourselves, like he said, to grow with this. There is no competing with this now, it's just there to stay. So how are we going to innovatively find a balance? That's what we need to look at.
And we need to work with educators not only owners of platforms and stuff like that. So we need a lot of education in that area to help, these blockades that we face every now and then with our students, especially the younger ones.
Right, right. And you mentioned about, aggression issues with children. But that's also because, we are reaching technology in a group format. See, tomorrow I'm going to give a keynote on personalization, which is what we do.
Okay.
So it's like no two child is alike. So it's a lot of the aggression issues come because of peer pressure, as you rightly mentioned. So the way to look at it is to when you have a counselor in school. Yes, that's very important. It's very important, and sometimes it's the parents who need the counseling, not the children.
Yeah, we do a lot of that to parents as well. You're right.
And I've been in personalization now for more than a decade, and I find that when parents are with their children, they are nurturing them. The children are excelling. So it's a two-way street, right? We as educators can do our bit, but the parents need to do their bit too. So that's very important. Yeah.
It is. It's very important that they understand they're part of this triangle with their students in
Exactly.
the middle. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. I think our time is up, right? So, any other questions? I'll be here if... yes.
I just want to kind of add to what Samir was saying.
Yes.
Unfortunately, no offenses to educators, but unfortunately, at least in India, I'm not sure about other places, there are very few people who have an ambition to become a teacher. So most of the teachers which are there in India today, I'm not saying 100% of them, but most of them are situational trainers or educators out there. Okay, because either they don't want a corporate job or they just want to kind of be in the school. Are they really educated? And believe me, the way like Samir was talking about in his platform, the gamified learning, the experiential learning, all that is coming in technology today.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out one TEDx talk. I don't know, I'm forgetting the name of the person. He's again from India. He has done a research across the globe by putting a computer in a village where these students doesn't even understand English as a language, and this entire content is in English, and 3 months down the line, they have found teachers coming out from those children, teaching other children the English communication over there.
Peer learning, yeah.
So the point what I'm trying to make is kids are very smart. They will figure it out. Do we tell our children...
You need to work on the educators.
So, yeah, see, exactly. So one is we need to work on educators. And as we are looking at driverless cars, believe me, the education will be there without trainers or mentors in front. I'm not saying they will not be there. They will be there behind the scenes, working on technology, upgrading the AI platforms so that more and more content, personalized content can be inputted over there. So every time a new student in any different language, it is going to be a cross-border languages platform. If that language is once put in on that, the platform itself will retranslate it into all other languages. And the AI system will work with that particular student to identify the right questions, and the exceptions will go to the particular trainer. This is the kind of platforms which are working. We at Bringleverse are also developing a virtual university on this model, but we will require educators. It's not that we will not require educators.
And that's why we say educators have to be lifelong learners, not only students.
Exactly. Yeah. The only problem here is we are trying to compete with technology. Technology is going to stay. And if educators can adopt technology, understand technology, I'm sure this world would be a much better place. Be it education, be it employment, be it entrepreneurship.
And that's where you come in.
So I am just trying to do my bit. I'm sure everybody is here in this room and in this entire conference is doing really, really great. I'm amazed to see the great work which everybody is doing.
Yes.
We all have to come together. It's not one person's job or one company's job. It is the entire, global, I would say the problems which we are faced by that. Our children are not future ready. Do we have the digital skills which we require? Frankly, half of the job, 50% of the jobs which are going to come in future, We're not even ready
We
yet.
don't know. We don't know.
even
Yeah.
know yet. And
Yeah.
we are teaching our children the education system which is 200 plus years old, probably more.
Yeah, that's true.
So we need to change the education system, the
We need to
methodology.
change the culture of how we are
Exactly.
thinking about
Exactly.
Yeah.
And technology is an ongoing thing. There are
Yeah.
so many technologies, blockchain, AI, virtual reality, metaverse, everything is coming in with gamified learning and experiential learning programs.
And as
We
you
will
said,
not-
children are much more adept to
Very adaptive.
catching. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
who tells, I'm sure each of you would have seen some child 1 year old and playing with a YouTube, his or her own song or whatever thing they want to do. Who tells them?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Children are very adaptive.
know.
So I think we are just killing their creativity. So we
On their own.
just stop doing that, first of all.
Thank you
Dr.
very much.
Galal.
I'm sorry
Thank
to-
you very much. No, it was fantastic. You've highlighted some very real problems